Development Authority, Credit Information Corporation, Philippine Competition Commission, and Climate Change Commission is hereby called to order. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge the manifested presence of certain senators, but I believe they will follow shortly. In the meantime, the Secretary of the Committee, Beth Agas, will acknowledge the presence of our resource persons. Please
Good afternoon, Senator.
name our resource persons.
For the Cooperative Development Authority's briefing on the proposed 2024 budget, we have their Chairman, Joseph B. Encabo, their Assistant Secretary, Mirla B. Paradillo, the Deputy Administrator, Attorney Mona Lisa Juarez, the Director for Region 10, we have Aminoden Elias, and the Division Chief, CPDAD, Miss Melissa A. Santos, their Acting Director, CSFS, Joselito O. Holiasgo, and the Division Chief, PPDD, Mr. Angelo Bugarin, and their Accountant, Abdullah Sidik. For the COA, we have Amado and Ablao. And for the Chief BMS, sa DBM, Miss Loremi Pereda. That's all, Senator.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, if Chairman Encabo would like to highlight some salient points of his budget very briefly, because we have so many agencies to handle. So, yes, Chairman Encabo, please keep it short. The longer you take, the more deductions your budget will have. No, I'm just joking. I'm hungry and sleepy, and I'm sure you are too. So let's get with it.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Amy. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Madam Chair, with you, if you permit us, I'd like to have a presentation, and can we proceed directly to the budget framework as requested by the chair of this committee? Yes, please. Okay. Madam Chair, the Cooperative Development Authority has an increase of 85.05% of budget for fiscal year 2024 compared to 2023. For the 2023 GAA, we have 704,877,000. But now, Madam Chair, for the as being proposed or reflected rather in the NEP 2024, the CDA has a budget of 1.3 billion with an increase of 85.05%. And with this, Madam Chair, to further elaborate, the 1.3 billion, 651 million of that goes to the development program, 154 million goes to the regulation program, the 110 million goes to the support to operation, and the 387 million for the general administration and support. So, the 2023, Madam Chair, the utilization of the Cooperative Development Authority has reached 98.59%. And Madam Chair, with that, because of the budget provided to us by the DBM as reflected in the NEP, we are also requesting to the good leadership and this committee for an additional budget of 94 million, which will cover one of the major functions of the Cooperative Development Authority, that is the quasi-judicial program, of which no MOE has been reflected on it. That's why we're requesting for...
But you actually have 18 million, 18.580 million for quasi-judicial and adjudicatory functions. As much as you want, but it's not zero either.
It's the fundamental services.
The legal services acquired 6.9, which we received from DBM just recently, Madam Chair.
No, I'm not talking about your past budget indicated in the GAA proposed NEP 2024 is a sum of 18.58 million for quasi-judicial and adjudicatory functions. So actually, your concern is addressed at least partially.
Yeah,
Nandito eh.
Madam Chair,
Liwaliwan na.
can we have the yung
Okay.
Can we not see?
Yeah, please proceed.
Yes, the purpose of requesting an additional budget, Madam Chair,
Okay.
is for the quasi-judicial, 10 million, 15 million for our refleeting program. Madam Chair, we have 60 refleeting program for vehicles. We have 16 regional offices, Madam Chair, yet we only have around 9 vehicles operating. And we have a new unit, which is the Internal Audit Division. We're requesting for additional 5 for the enhanced registration regulation for the CSF based on the Republic Act 10744, 7 million, and the Learning and Development Program for the cooperative sector and for the employees, which is 7.
Teka. Right now, you're already one of the few agencies that sees a very large increase at 85%. Ano? Ang laki-laki ng increase ninyo eh. General appropriations nasa 89.67%. Pero, humingi pa kayo. Tama ba yung pagkaintindi ko?
Yes, ma'am. To further elaborate, Madam Chair, we are requesting for this additional budget to cover also our major programs like the Learning and Development Program for the co-op sector. As mentioned a while ago po, we only have 9 vehicles running operation efficiently in the region, so we need to increase our output by being supported with this transportation support. No? And the Internal Audit Division, ma'am, has been newly created and functioning, but we don't have MOE for such unit. So those are the areas, ma'am, that we need to cover for 2024. The increase of the budget of the Cooperative Development Authority, Madam Chair, is mainly on the capital outlay, no, and the ICT. Yeah.
That's locally funded project.
Okay. Any further highlights? Is there any other salient points? How did you actually generate so much increase?
Ma'am, Madam Chair.
Before you ask for more.
Yes, Madam Chair, it goes to the capital outlay, the regional offices. We have 7 regional offices that will be covered by it, and the locally funded projects that focus on the agri sector and the micro and small consumers, marketing producers, logistics cooperatives, Madam Chair.
No, on a per program basis, the biggest increase, almost 300%, goes to support to operations. What does this mean? Anong klaseng support to operations yan?
The support to operation, ma'am, is the
283%. ang increase?
The ICT,
Ipaliwanag na lang po.
yes ma'am, the increase of that ma'am is, goes to the ICT requirements po. The MOE.
Sorry. I don't understand.
MOE.
ICT covers everything po. What?
Yeah.
Wala, it's labo-labo eh. Samut-sari yung included. Capability enhancement, MSMEs, micro small consumers.
ICT nila is only 19 million.
Nagugulan ako yung procurement for ICT equipment under MITI is only 19 million. Bakit naging ICT itong sinasabi na support to operation?
Yeah.
19 million lang yan eh.
Madam Chair, I'd like to request our
Bakit yung
finance.
19 million naging 110 million? This is an entirely different item. The item for ICT is only 19 million.
Madam Chair, if may I, the increase in the support to operation of 283%. In the 2023 GA, it's 28.7 million. In 2024, it's 110 million. It's basically because of the office productivity requirement that was approved by DBM in our Tier 2 proposal. ICT requirements, MOO is 99.17.
I'm sorry, what's
The nine-
office productivity? What does that
Yes.
mean?
Office productivities, Madam Chair, that includes the ICT
Anong bibilin
requirements.
dyan?
ICT requirements po, Madam Chair,
Bakit nagdo-double entry? Bakit may 19 million para sa IT tapos meron na namang IT sa support?
Sir,
to
19 million, Madam Chair, the 19 million is for the capital outlay, and the
Nasa IT.
59 million is for the MOE. So it's a total of 78 million. That was the proposal from our MITI program as approved by DICT.
Bakit may MOE? Ang sinasabi mo, itong support to operation is MOE.
No, the support to operation is composed of MOE and capital outlay. The MOE is 59.17 million. The Tier 2 approved by DBM with our MITI requirement or ICT requirement, and the 19.25 is for the capital outlay. So ang total po nun, Madam Chair, is 78.42 million.
Isang galing tong 110. 110 yung support to operations niya.
Yeah, that's the Tier 1, the Tier 1 po. The Tier 1,
Tier 1 ng alin?
yung support to operation po, Madam Chair, we have a Tier 1 of 28 million. So that's for the regular operation of the ICT requirement of the whole CDA.
You're talking about 2023. Under discussion is fiscal year 2024.
Yes, Madam Chair, the 28 is in 2023. There is an increase, naging 110 po siya because from the 23 na Tier 1, meron pong na-approve na 78.42 in the Tier 2, which is composed of MOE 59.17 and the capital outlay of 19.25. So umabot po siya ng 110, Madam Chair.
Ang daming entry dito na puro ICT. May subscription expenses as part of ICT yan? Yan ba? Under MITI?
Yes po. Approved by the ICT and also approved in the Tier 2 proposal.
Hindi, iba
by
pa
DBM.
to eh. Ito yung MOOE. Hindi siya yung capital expense. MOE to eh.
Yes, ma'am. The MOE is 28. The Tier 1 is 28, but the Tier
28
2...
was this year. We're
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
about next year. Can we just move forward to next year?
Yes, ma'am. Next year po is 78 million po yung support to operation increase in our support to operation. So 78 million po yung increase ng next
It's the
year.
increase, but the total is 110. As
Yes.
far as I'm concerned, the amount is 110.
110 po, ma'am.
Explain to me and justify the 110.
The 100
Anong sakop nun? Ang pinaliwanag mo, capital expenditure. Ito, MOE. Magkaiba yung dalawa, wag mo palo. naantok na kasi ako at hirap na ako magkakaintindi.
Okay, ma'am. Okay po. In the 2024, we will be having 110 million support to operation.
Repeated that 4 times.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And the composition is, of course, our ICT requirements that include subscriptions, internet subscriptions, mga Zoom, subscriptions. Then, of course, the software maintenance of our existing information systems and the like. So that becomes 110 million in FY 2024.
Yeah, hindi mo sinabi yung financial assistance for 2 locally funded projects.
The financial assistance for two
Sakop,
local
pero
fund. Hindi, ma'am. Separate po siya, ma'am.
Okay. Kasi halo-halo sa MOOE ninyo. Medyo magulo kasi siya. Okay. Fine. Anything else that you'd like to highlight?
That's all, Madam Chair, especially on the putting more emphasis on our additional request po.
Yeah, you'll have to justify that with the DBM. You're already getting a very, very large increase, unlike almost any other agency. You have a 80 to 90% increase overall. So, laki nun. Anyway, let's deal with the issues first. Can you address your position on the implementation of the Coconut Farmers and Industry Trust Fund Act? What's the role of the CDA? And are you actually allowed to implement projects for co-ops under the CDA charter and under the Coco Trust Fund Act?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Cooperative Development Authority is one of the national government agencies tasked with implementing the Coconut Farmers Organization.
Yes, we're aware. Let's
Yes.
just cut to the quick. The Senate actually passed it. We're
Yes, ma'am.
aware of the provisions involved. In 2023, you said that there will be 2 cocoa processing plants, one in Zamboanga, and where is the other one?
Ma'am, we have 2 in Zamboanga, namely in Siocon and Dapitan City po.
Oh, parehong Zamboanga. So only in Zamboanga.
Yes, ma'am,
So-
for the year 2023, ma'am. Yes, we are allowed by to come up with programs and projects that is reflected in our CDA Charter po 11364 that the CDA is also mandated to adopt and implement integrated comprehensive plans and programs and also establish grants and donations exclusively intended for cooperatives coursed through the authority. And
Yes, I mean, you're just reciting what's
Yeah.
actually in the law. Can you explain both the processing plants? Because there's a very large discrepancy as far as the PCA is concerned. There are 8,819 active and 1,942 inactive cocoa farmers organizations. Pero yung sa inyo, na i-organize lamang 1,917. So we recognize Senator Robin Padilla. Pero in the meantime, pakipaliwanag, anong mangyayari dun sa mga hindi sinama ng mga cocoa farmers? Ang laki kasi ng agwat eh. Nasa 8,800 plus 1,942. Yung sa listahan lang ninyo, nasa 1,917. Ba't ang laki ng agwat?
Ma'am, for this year, the CDA is given 250 million for the CFIDP program. The 200 million is intended for 2 processing plants that will be established and or provided to the
Ayan na yung, yan na
Siocon.
yung dalawang sambo.
Yes, ma'am.
O tapos yung 50,
The other component is will go to the different trainings and handholding programs, seminars for the coconut farmers cooperatives, while the 25 million po will serve as their seed capital for their management, operations, and administrative for the processing plant.
yeah, ang problema ko kasi, Apakabagal ng plano ninyo. You're going to roll out in 5 years and you're only rolling out less than 2,000 cocoa farmers organizations. When in fact, there's closer to 9 to 12,000 cocoa farmers associations. Ba't ang bagal?
Ma'am, based on our accomplishments, as of August 2023, we were able to touch base with 3,548 coconut farmers. And
No, I'm not talking about the farmers. Can we just deal with the organizations? Kasi co-op naman kayo eh. Hindi naman kayo individual farmers dapat.
yes, as of 2022 last year, ma'am, we were able to come up with 831 coconut farmers organized into cooperatives.
Kaya nga, pero ang sinasabi ko, the whole universe of coconut farmers is almost 12,000 organizations. Yung nasa lista ninyo, 5 years ang bagal, wala pang 2,000. Eh, paano yung 10,000, di sila kasali?
We continue to
Pero ba't ang bagal? At wala sa listahan ninyo at all eh.
the Cooperative Development Authority, ma'am, continues to collaborate with PCA and identify
Yes, but
those.
PCA already said that they're in conflict with your data. Kaya nga, I want to clarify. Ang PCA ang nagsabi na halos 10,000 o 11,000 o 12,000 ang kanilang cocoa farmers. Eh, ang layo sa inyo, 1,900 lang kayo. Eh, kawawa naman yung iba. Mas marami pang hindi kasama kesa kasama.
Yes, ma'am. Ang ginagawa po namin, ma'am, we have our data based on the registered coconut farmers cooperatives. At yung data naman po na binibigay ng PCA sa amin po, yun ang buong tinatouch base namin to organize them into cooperatives.
Ang sinasabi ninyo, yung nakalista sa PCA, hindi co-op.
Yes, ma'am. Kasi under PCA po, pwede po sila maging asosasyon or
Basta farmers
po or individuals. Opo.
Oh.
So pag pumupunta na po kami doon sa field o sa mga regions,
Saka lang ma-organize bilang
yes po,
co-op.
doon po sila ma-organize as co-op.
Eh, wala bang existing na co-op na?
We have an existing cooperatives, ma'am.
Then maybe a better presentation would be to say, ilan ba talaga yung farmers? Tapos, ilan ang sasakupin nitong 1,917 ninyo? Para alam natin yung porsyento. Kasi parang ang bagal-bagal naman, 5 taon. Wala pa sa 20%.
For last year, ma'am, one of the top performing agencies in the CFID was CDA. But nonetheless, we were able to achieve 53% on our targets compared to other agencies. So for year one po, Madam Chair, the Coconut Farmers Cooperative served was 893. For year 2 po, this year, our target po, ma'am, is 1,000.
Teka. If your performance has been so exemplary, di ba 2022, nag-revert kayo ng 118.560 million to the Treasury under the Cocoa Farmer and Industry Trust Fund because the use of the fund. Ano ba nangyari dyan?
Madam
Ba't kayo nagsoli? Ibig sabihin, hindi ninyo nagastos, hindi ninyo nagampanan yung papel ninyo. Hindi ko maintindihan ba't nag-revert?
Madam Chair, na-download po yung pera sa amin po.
Very late. Yun yung sinasabi.
Middle of November na po, Madam Chair.
Oh, tapos
So we only have 1.5 months to implement this huge task provided to us by the CFIDP program. So we immediately consulted PCA and fast-track everything the best that we can para po mapagsilbihan ng ating mga coconut farmers
So
cooperatives.
nagsoli kayo ng pera sa Treasury.
Opo.
What's the usual rule with regard to trust funds? Hindi ba nananatili yan sa ahensya until they're exhausted or the goal for their creation is met? Hindi dapat nagre-revert yan kapag trust fund.
Yeah,
Trust fund kasi yan eh.
Yes,
Diba?
ma'am. But, Madam Chair, there is a joint memorandum circular issued by DBM and Bureau of Treasury.
Yeah, is somebody here from DBM? Yes, Ms. Pereda. can we figure out why exactly these trust funds were reverted to the Treasury? As a general rule, hindi dapat nare-revert yan. Yun ang pagkaintindi ko. So what's the legal basis for your joint circular mandating that unutilized portion of the fund as well as undisbursed portions of the fund shall revert? Bakit i-revert samantalang trust fund yan?
For the it's a trust fund. It's classified as trust receipts. It's in the general provision of the General Appropriations Act na ang ating trust receipts po has only a validity of 1 year. So after 1 year po, yung notice of cash allocation that we have released to all the CFIDP po na agencies, ang validity po nun will only be 1 year for the cash
1 year
requirements,
from
ma'am.
the date of
Release, ma'am.
The date of release was late or mid-November. When did you issue this? When did you issue this joint circular? Anong date nito? (2022) gastusin, di re-revert talaga. Ano ba talaga nangyari riyan? It's Joint Circular 1,
But CDA can request again.
2022?
Another NCA.
Yeah. The other question is, regardless of the joint circular, did the CDA request for another NCA para maibalik ang pera sa inyo? Ba't hindi kayo nag-request ng pera? Given Senator Robin Padilla, ang hirap talaga, naghahanap ng pera eh. Mihingi pa ng dagdag, di naman mahanap yung dati, nagsusoli pa.
Yeah.
Yes, did you ask for an NCA?
Madam Chair, for the 2022, it was automatically reverted to the National Treasury, the 118
We've
million.
already gone over
For
that.
the 2024, yes, because the project is up to 5 years. So we also asked for the 2023, 250 million na NCA po.
Parang ang gulo. Teka, year by year. Simulan natin. Kailan ba? 2021? Ano nangyari? Pwede ba ikwento ninyo ng maayos? Sige, kailan yung release ng 2021, if any?
Wala po sa 2021.
Yung pala eh. Ba't may banggit kanina? Sabi ng DPM, yung circular 2021.
Sorry, ma'am.
Wala naman rinilis ni isang kusing ng 2021.
If I may,
Nagsimula ng
ma'am.
May 2022.
The joint memorandum circular between the COA, DBM, and the BTR was issued in January 28, 2022 po.
O kaya nga, hindi 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
Nahilo
I stand
naman ako sa'yo.
corrected, ma'am.
Okay, January 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
Ang problema, 1 year ang validity ng trust receipt, pero ang release was November, mid-November.
The notice of cash allocation to the CDA was released in October 2022, ma'am.
Pareho pa rin yun.
It was a notice, Madam
It's
Chair.
only an NCA in October. NCA pa lang yun.
One of the requirements, ma'am, for the release of the coconut farmers development plan from the trust receipts is the memorandum of agreement between the Philippine Coconut Authority and the implementing agency, as well as the Bureau of the Treasury trust receipts, Bureau of the Treasury
ang point
certification.
kasi,
ma'am.
kayo may kasalanan, hindi kayo nagbigay ng pera. NCA, late na nga. Why do you have to revert the funds to the Treasury? I don't get it. Because you have a joint circular. So regardless of the fact that you released it very late in the fourth quarter, it doesn't matter. Basta magre-revert siya ng December.
Ma'am, if I may, ma'am, the CDA requested the original request was received by DBM in May 2022. We returned it with a reply document, officially returned it, asking for several supporting documents as
Okay.
stated in the JMC, especially, ma'am, the memorandum of agreement. And the CDA submitted it to us in October. That's why when
So from May to October, CDA did not act upon the NCA requested.
we returned it, provided that they will have a memorandum of agreement with PCA.
And the memo of agreement with PCA was submitted when?
In October, ma'am.
Yes, is that correct, Chairman Encabo? Kayo rin pala may kasalan, di pala kayo nag-comply ng mga requirements eh. Anyway, as a general rule in government, pahirapan humingi ng pera. Kayo binigyan na ng pera, na-revert pa.
Last August, ma'am, we entered the MOA with PCA, but
Pero hindi ninyo sinubmit until October sa DBM. Is that correct? Can I have the communications? If you're assailing the assertion of DBM that they were only in receipt in October, pakita na lang ng dokumento kung talaga kayo nagpadala.
yeah, I concur with the requirements, Madam Chair, na isa po sa mga dapat isumitin namin ang MOA with PCA.
O na-late kayo sa pagbigay?
With due respect to the PCA po, medyo sila po ang...
No, naintindihan ko kasi hindi kompleto yung PCA di
Opo,
ba?
oo.
Kaya yung parating issue, walang pipirma.
Opo.
Di ba? Yun yung drama doon, na hindi ma-release yung pera. Kasi paulit-ulit na yung tugtugin na yan na walang mga na-appoint, walang pipirma, hindi mabuo yung memo. Tama ba yun?
Yes.
So it's not negligence on your part.
Madam Chair, we submitted early po the draft of the MOA, pero ilang beses po nag-antay kami for review daw nila ng legal and of course yung head.
Kailan na kompleto? Nakompleto na ba noong October o hindi pa kompleto at pending the complete assent of
Yeah,
the...
nung nakompleto namin po bandang first week ng October, we immediately submitted to, or September, late September, last week of September rather, or first week of October.
Okay,
we submitted.
so it was late na, no? So you did, but in the meantime, hindi kayo nakapag-disburse ng maski ano?
We were able to implement, Madam Chair, and 53%.
What were you able to implement? How much?
Based on our first year programs and activities, we were able to serve, just a quick rundown, Madam Chair, 627 number of coconut farmers cooperative serve, 216 number of coconut farmers organizations and associations serve. Ito po yung na-transform din namin, Madam Chair, into cooperatives. 122.
So wait muna. Magkano na-release nung November, mid-November, magkano yung pera?
250, Madam Chair.
Yun yung 250 na sinasabi mo.
Apo.
Sa 250, more than half na disburse naman.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Pero by December, may natira pa.
Yes, Madam
Tama
Chair.
ba? Kasi naguguluhan ako sa listahan.
Around 118, Madam Chair.
So yung 118, 560 reverted kasi siya pa yung balanse nung December.
Yes, Madam
So
Chair.
hinila na ng DBM. Ganon. So, pinagtatakahan ko kasi anuman yung joint circular, hindi pwedeng lumabag sa pagkaintindi namin ng trust fund na yung RA 11524 says the management and custodianship of the trust fund. So the BTR as depository will manage the COCO levy assets without requirement of reversion. Yun ang pagkaintindi namin Bakit na-revert?
Ma'am, the general...
Kasi management and custodianship of trust fund, di ba? Yan yung section 12. Depository lang ang treasury, pero nananatili pa rin COCO levy, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. The trust fund itself is being managed by the Bureau of the Treasury, and
Kaya
the
nga.
cash allocations, ma'am, that was released to the agencies are being reverted every
Okay.
year, pero po bumabalik ulit siya sa BTR.
So, yung 118 na revert, What is the nature of that? What's the status na ngayon?
Balik po siya sa Bureau of the
No, I
Treasury.
understand. Pero, sino magmamanage niyan? Treasury.
Yes, ma'am.
Tapos, paano nila kukunin? Magre-request sila for a new NCA.
Yes, ma'am.
Ginawa ba ninyo yon at kailan?
Yes, we did propose to the Finance Management Committee of the CFIDP, ma'am, but still subject for approval of the said committee.
So you haven't actually requested a new NCA?
We requested for an additional budget, but the
No,
initial
that's not
step.
additional budget. You're
Yeah.
requesting for the return of
Yes.
the amount reverted.
Yes, I stand corrected, Madam
So did you
Chair.
request for the new NCA or not?
May I, Madam Chair? Kasi the discussion when the program was implemented, those that are reverted to the Treasury, hindi na daw pwede i-request for NCA. So ang
Bakit?
nangyari, that
Is
was
that correct?
ang nangyari,
You
Madam
cannot
Chair.
request for a new NCA? I'm sorry. Sorry, can we just
Kas-
get the DBM to answer?
Ma'am, it's based on the JMC, the Joint Memorandum Circular, any unutilized funds coming from the trust fund of the agencies will automatically be reverted to the National Treasury. However, every year naman po, meron naman pong 250 million na pinoprovide
No, pero
for
yung
the implementing
sinasabi mo,
agencies.
yung hindi nagastos na 118, forfeited na forever,
It's
aasa na lang sila sa panibagong 250. Ganun ba yun?
for the cash requirements, ma'am, it will really revert to the National Treasury because it's a trust receipts in nature.
Hindi tama yung DBM dyan. Ang alam ko, ang trust receipt, talagang sinusoli yan sa dating agency. Hindi yan pwedeng hawakan ng treasury at aasahan na lamang yung new appropriations for the following year. Wala naman yatang ganun. Can we please clarify? That doesn't make any sense to me. Parang dapat bigyan ng bagong NCA for the previous balance of 118 plus the new appropriations as may be mandated, yung 250. So dapat ang ibibigay sa kanila yung 118 plus 250. Ba't nagkaganon?
Ma'am, sa Bureau of the Treasury, ma'am, and the DBM and the COA, it's indicated in the Joint Memorandum Circular na any unutilized funds nga po will revert to the National Treasury.
Yes, I think DBM should be warned that you are actually in violation of the law. It's very, very clear. But 2022, 5% of 5 billion, 250 million. So na ibalik yung 118. Tapos, yung year 2, 5% na naman, 250 na naman. Year 3, 2024, 6 billion na yan. So magiging 300 yung CDA. And so on. Ang point ko, hindi masusunod ang batas kapag hindi sinoli sa kanila kasi 5% yung kanila eh. No matter what your joint circular is, it cannot be in violation of the law.
The special allotment release order for the coconut farmers industry is being released by the DBM to the Bureau of the Treasury. The cash requirements po, yun po yung nagiging trust fund. Trust receipts po siya.
Hindi tama yun. Teka, hinihilulo, I think,
I'm sorry, the notice of cash allocation, yun lang po ang nire-release namin sa mga implementing agencies as trust receipts.
okay.
Apo.
What happened to the
and yun nga
118? Na halimbawa, nag-request sila, nabuo yung NCA, requesting for the 118, binigay yung bagong NCA, yung pera, saan mapupunta? Bakit sinasabi nyo, iipitin pa rin yung cash?
It will revert back to the National Treasury, ma'am.
Bakit nga? Bakit pa kayo nag-NCA kung wala kayong balak mag-release ng pera? Anong
There is-
klase yun?
The joint
Mag-i-issue kayong NCA pero walang cash backing, walang cash release.
I think it's one of the discussions, ma'am, sa technical working
No, that
group
cannot
po
be a
ng-
discussion. You're in violation of the intent and purpose of this law. Dekada-dekada nang inaantayan ng magsasaka. The coconut farmers are among the poorest farmers in the country. Inintay na yan ng ilang dekada. Ngayon, iipitin na naman ng DBM. Hindi na tama to.
Ma'am, we always release, ma'am, the 250 million kapag
No, you haven't. You released it once, late, and then you pulled back 118. You haven't. Not always. Always is not correct. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I feel very, very strongly about this law. The farmers are among the poorest in the country, and they've been waiting for decades. Ano na?
Ma'am, for the one of the discussions po ng TWG.
Sa madaling
is that-
sabi, ibalik na ninyo yung 118 million bago sundan to. Wag aasahan yung next release ng susunod na taon. Hindi tama yun. Inutang na yun ninyo eh. Kasi trust yan eh. Ibabalik ninyo yung 118 ayon sa NCA. Ibabalik yon cash, tunay na pera, hindi papel.
Ma'am, one of the discussions during the TWG is that kung pwede nga po na i-utilize yung mga, I mean, kung pwede pong i-release ulit yung mga unutilized.
Kaya nga.
Kasi nga po ang dami, totoo ma'am, napakadami po. Kasi nga
Ang
po-
dami-dami tapos
Yes,
puro
ma'am.
late release. Alam kasi naman natin, hindi rin yung kasalanan na wala pang appointed dyan sa PCA. So walang makapirma, di ba? So nagtambak yung mga pera na dapat i-release. Yan naman ang nangyari talaga. Bagong administrasyon, nagka-delay-delay. Yan ang totoo. Okay. Ngayon, bakit may mahaba pang diskusyon? Eh di i-release na. Hindi naman pwedeng harangin yung last year para asahan na lamang yung susunod na taon. Walang ganun.
Isa po yun sa mga naging discussions sa TWG,
O
technical
tigilan na
working
yung
group.
discussion, i-release na. Pera na please. Pasensya ha, inaantok na ako ng bonggang-bongga at nakakahilo to eh. Senator Robin. Hindi, kasi nakakaawa naman. Ilang beses na namin ipinangako na may 5 billion ang ating mga magsasaka ng lubi, ng nyog. Karamihan yan, nasa Visayas at Mindanao, at karamihan yan, pinakamahihirap na magsasaka sa ating bansa. Ano ba naman, i-release na yan? Yeah, kasi 1.5 a month yan eh. Okay, so let's try and get to the bottom of this, and please express to your leadership our very, very vigorous opposition to your implementation of said joint circular of January 2023, of January 2022. Hindi po pwede yung ganong klaseng implementation. Walang inuutang sa dati. Dapat i-release yun at wag aasahan yung 250 na darating pa. Otherwise, hindi masusunod yung, naku, ang haba-haba ng diskusyon na ito. Itong batas na to, na-veto na 2 beses, pabalik-balik sa amin. Maawat mahabag. Ngayon, implementasyon na lamang. Hindi pa ibibigay. Ano ba naman talaga? Akala ko tree of life ang coconut. Naging tree of kamatayan, Diyos ko. Okay. Yes, so can we please relay to the DBM leadership our strong opposition to this type of implementation? In the meantime, CDA, yung NCA ba? Yung request for new NCA, ano na ang status?
We didn't submit any NCA, ma'am, because we followed the
request for new NCA.
Yeah, the request, we didn't observe that
Kaya nga, bakit?
because as per guidelines, we have to write the Finance Management Committee through PCA. So we're just following that guidelines, Madam Chair. And we wrote
Teka, sino na naman ang susulatan?
the Finance Committee, the Management Committee of the CFIDP.
Parang paikot-ikot yata. Come again.
Yes, ma'am.
Di ba kayo rin yun? Pero may finance committee kayo. Sino yung finance committee, oy?
Ang CFIDP po ang may Trust Fund Committee, Management Committee.
Sino nga?
Anong composition yun? I believe, Madam Chair, the vetting agencies like DOF, DBM,
yeah, the
PCA,
usual.
yeah.
Oh.
And we submitted dated June 23, Madam Chair, as a compliant to the instructions of that finance.
Tama ba
trust
yun?
funds.
Yung para humingi ng bagong NCA sa DBM at sa Bureau of Treasury, hihingi muna ng permiso sa DBM, Treasury at Finance. Di ba tayo chinuchubibo nito?
Based on their statement, Madam Chair, it will be subject on their evaluation and assessment. So we just follow the guidelines, Madam Chair.
Ano yon? Sabihin ko na yung totoo, medyo personal kasi ito sa akin. Tuwing umuwi ako sa Tacloban, sa Leyte at sa Samar, ito yung tinatanong ng mga magsasaka. At hindi na ako makasagot kasi ang alam ko na ipasa na itong batas na to noon pa. Eh hanggang ngayon, wala pa silang natatanggap ni Singkong Duling. Di ko na masagot eh.
Dito sa Tacloban nakabigay ka ng 21
Eh akala ko naman may maganda akong balita ngayon.
31 cooperatives.
Ano?
In Tacloban or Region 8, Madam Chair, we were able to provide support to 31 coconut farmers cooperatives, coming from being an association organization. And for next year, Madam Chair,
Okay lang, okay lang. Ang problema, 31, libo-libo yun eh.
Yeah.
I mean, ang dai kaya nila.
but we continue to provide them the handholding
Pag dumami
program.
pa
Yes, sir.
yung NPA Samar United Front, kasalanan pa natin yan.
Patuloy naman po ang pag-organize namin as cooperatives, Madam Chair.
Kala ko ng United Front. Okay, napakaliit naman ang output na yan. Okay. Can I get a coherent answer and perhaps we can ask, what is the flowchart intended by the DBM? To ask for a new NCA, babalik sa DBM para humingi sa DBM?
Yes, ma'am, for the NCA.
Di ba
po.
chubibo ang tawag doon? Parang nakakaloka pa ikot-ikot.
We will relay it to the CFLDP TWG, ma'am, regarding the unutilized balance.
Patid kailan pa yan?
We will relay it, ma'am.
Sino yung TWG? Gano'n na naman. DOF, DBM, BOTR.
BTR, ma'am. BTR.
O, kayo na naman. The Holy Trinity. Siya, paano ba to? Sige, gawan na lang ninyo ako ng kuwan. DBM, gawan na lang ako ng paliwanag. Please, ASAP, sa lalong madaling panahon at ako'y nalito.
Yes, ma'am.
Baka nahuhulaan ni Senator Padilla. Nakakatawa na to. O sige, Marawi naman. Ay, teka, ano ba to? O, Marawi naman, para sakit ng ulo na ulit. Bato. Okay, 2018 to 2023, 284.849 million pesos disbursed to Marawi-based co-ops. Bakit lahat ng co-op na recipient hindi pa nakakapag-liquidate ng anuman? Totoo ba yung mga co-op na to? Or drawing lang?
Madam Chair, I'll give the floor to our project manager, Director Elias.
Bakit walang maibigay na liquidation at saka ebidensya na tumanggap ng mga makinarya itong Marawi Rehab Program? Yes, Director Elias, please.
Yes. Magandang hapon po, ma'am. Madam Chair,
Sana.
for Marawi, we were able to extend to 169 cooperatives under the Marawi Rehabilitation through Cooperativism Project and the MPN, Mindanao Peace and Normalization Project. And out of the 169 cooperatives, 103 were able to fully liquidate the assistance given to them. And
You're saying how much? Magkano? Magkano yung na-liquidate? Kasi sa lista ko wala pang naliliquidate eh.
about 56 something million, ma'am.
Pero ang napakaliit nun, kung ihahambing sa na-release na pera, 284,849 million. Ang laki ng pera, wala pa sa 20% ba yan? Ang sinasabi ninyo, 50?
Yung pera,
Ilan ang
ma'am.
liquidated? Kasi sa report, walang na-liquidate.
Hindi, ma'am. Yung 56 million livelihood assistance to cooperatives, fully liquidated yan.
CDA, do you have do you have something in writing? Kasi 50-something will not wash in a budget hearing po. Ilan bang liquidated? Kasi ang record dito, unliquidated, napakalaking halaga.
64,362,860.85, ma'am.
Yes, precisely my point that 64 million is a small fraction of the total amount disbursed, the 284 million plus.
I'm speaking of the livelihood assistance. Hindi nakasama doon, ma'am, yung mga administrative cost na inclusive doon, kasama doon sa dinownload na
Siguro
pera.
hindi naman administrative cost itong 75%. Laki nito eh. 284 ang sinasabi niyong liquidated. Can I just have an update on the Marawi with figures, please? And the evidence that these co-ops in fact exist?
284 ang disbursed.
Okay.
Walang records.
Yeah. There's zero reports on this amount. Even the 64 million you're claiming to have been disbursed are not recorded. So the worry is these are ghost co-ops, that the farmers never received any equipment. There's nothing here. I'm sorry. This derives from your office.
The audit report of the Commission on Audit dated 2021, if I'm not mistaken, ma'am.
Hindi.
Na-
June 2023 po to. Walang liquidated.
I
Ang
think,
disbursed 284.
Madam Chair, siguro hindi po updated yung data na provided kasi
Palagay ko, Chairman Encabo, galing pala ito sa CDA, hindi pala COA. Mag-usap kaya kayo ng Region 10. Galing pala sa inyo to, hindi ko naman mahuhula to eh. Ayon sa listahan ninyo, ayon sa listahan ninyo, wala naman na liquidate. Laki kaya. Mindanao Peace and Normalization Program. Bahagi ako nitong committee to eh. There's a special committee on Marawi Rehab and nagsusumikap kami na mabigyan ng pera ang Marawi para bumangon. Subalit, hindi naman kayo nagli-liquidate. Are these co-ops really existing?
yes, ma'am.
Why is it they can't liquidate?
Yung sa Mindanao
Kayo
Peace,
nagbigay nito, CDA, hindi ko galing sa akin. So, can you show me any evidence of these co-ops that they received the machines listed? Are they compliant co-ops? Can you tell me something about Marawi co-ops? Was there any financial assistance provided to Marawi-based co-ops?
yes.
How much and which co-ops? Directly from CDA? Parang hindi kayo nag-usap.
Madam Chair, if the leadership would permit, we can submit a comprehensive report after this, Madam Chair, to your office.
Who is responsible for identifying these co-ops?
Madam Chair, sa pagpasok ko po ng CDA, ongoing na po yan. And there is a board resolution
Kailan kayo pumasok ng CDA?
to 2 years pa po, Madam Chair.
Right. Sa loob ng 2 taon, natagpuan ba ninyo itong mga co-op na to? Napunta ba kayo sa Marawi?
Yes po, pero I was not able to meet them directly, but I've been requesting reports from
Maliit lang po ang Marawi.
Opo.
Masasagasaan ninyo sila kahit paano.
Opo. I've been consistently requesting po reports from the project manager since siya
Who is
po,
the project manager?
Director Elias po.
Yes, Director Elias, yeah. It's a lot of money to remain unliquidated.
Yung,
What do you intend to do about this?
as for the Marawi Rehabilitation through Cooperativism project, ma'am, I am very certain that this is liquidated.
No, it's not. Where are the liquidation papers? Kanino mo sinubmit? Ang supervising authority mo yung CDA. Eh yung CDA mismo ang nagsasabi na walang liquidation ni isa eh. Eh kanino ako aasa nito? Saan ninyo sinubmit yung liquidation, Director Elia?
Sa kuha po namin, sa resident auditor.
Sa COA ninyo?
Yes.
Bakit sa COA ninyo? Hindi ba ibibigay sa CDA?
Hindi, ang management, bali, ang CDA, nagsasubmit ng liquidation documents doon sa Commission on Audit. Ngayon,
Hindi, ibibigay mo sa CDA.
They will submit to the head office, ma'am.
Siyempre,
ma'am.
ibibigay sa head office
Yung-
kasi regional head ka, di ba?
You receive by COA regional office. They have
Okay.
to submit the head office.
CDA muna.
Yes.
Oh.
No, ma'am. The regional office, which is Region 10, will submit to COA Region 10.
Okay, so
and then,
what happened, COA Region 10,
I
natanggap
think-
ba nila?
I think our COA head office, ma'am, they should submit us the
Now,
received
are
copy.
you aware of this issue? It's quite a large sum of money. Mr. Ablao, our COA audit team leader, did you receive at the Region 10 COA office the liquidation report of said co-ops from Marawi?
Good afternoon po. Ang ano po, ang sinasabit lang sa amin na mga reports, yung audited na ng region. Kaya kung...
Teka, you're from central office, hindi kayo Region 10? So, na-audit ba yung sa Region 10? Hindi ninyo alam?
Hindi
umabot sa
yung
inyo?
namin alam. Kasi wala naman pong dumarating na mga reports sa amin. Pero, tsaka di ko rin masyadong ano kasi wala akong data.
Anong klaseng management to? CDA doesn't know what's happening in Region 10?
Ma'am, I gave directives and instructions sa Region 10 po to comply and liquidate the entire program funds.
If, Director Elias, if you're saying these co-ops are real and that this machinery and other assistance was disbursed, can you provide the records, the evidence that in fact this were received, these co-ops are in existence, and that they have been liquidated properly?
yes, ma'am.
Kailan?
Babalik kami sa Mindanao.
Ha?
This,
Alas 4 na po.
hindi, babalik kami.
Pero yung sabi ninyo, maliliquidate mo 64 million lang. Eh, maliit na bahagi yan sa 284. Paano natin ikikwenta yung napakalaking halagang yan?
Ma'am, parang hindi rin nagtali yung ano natin sa 284. Kasi base sa actual na release namin sa co-op, we have 3 programs kasi itong Marawi Rehabilitation through Cooperativism, yung Mindanao Peace and Normalization, and the Livelihood Assistance to Co-op Farmers in Conflict-Affected Areas. 3 project po yon. Yung una ay na-release namin sa co-op ay 64,362,000. Yung sa MPN ay 17,850,000 lang. And yung...
Saan napuntang pera nito?
Yun yung base po sa mga...
Base sa records ng DBM at CDA, tanggap po ninyo.
Yung MPN, may component dyan na farm machineries na bid out sa central office po. Kaya hindi kasama sa libro namin sa region. At saka by the way, ma'am, before...
So, nasa libro ng central office ng alin? Ng CDA?
Yes, ma'am. Yung...
Nasa libro ng CDA. So, sinong in charge ng libro ng
Yung
CDA? Chairman
procurement.
ng Cabo, please. Sabi niya, na-bid out daw sa central office, hindi
yung
daw
farm
umabot sa
machineries,
Mindanao.
mini rice mill, ma'am.
No, Madam Chair. All the Mindanao all the projects that the director mentioned was issued, directly released to Region 10, before in Region 9, 12, but when Director Elias transferred to Director 10, it was also transferred to Region 10. So all the funds for Mindanao was directly go to Mindanao regional offices, Madam Chair.
So what are you saying? Who's responsible to produce these liquidation reports?
It should be the region, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
In fact, we have a series of meetings for them to fix all the documents that we needed. But until now, Mr.
But
Chair,
now
I think
he says he has to go back to Mindanao.
nasa
Hindi
process
ninyo
pa
dala?
sila ng liquidation.
If I may continue, ma'am. By the way pala, before maging Region 10, originally yung mga dalawang projects ay galing sa Region 12.
Yeah.
So ang responsible na doon, sinasubmit namin yung documents doon sa resident auditors ng Region 12. Before malipat yung supervision ng Marawi Satellite Office doon sa Region 10.
Pasensya, wala akong naintindihan. Pasensya, gulong-gulo ako. Nalipat lang naman ang region, hindi naman ganun kagulo. 12 to 10. O,
Yes,
simple lang. O, bakit mawawala pati papel?
Yung dalawang project namin, yung MPN at saka Marawi Rehabilitation.
Kala ko sabi mo 3.
Yung dalawa doon, ma'am, ang submission of documents sa Region 12 pa rin. Kasi ang nangungulikta doon, yung COA doon. Yung latest lang na under implementation, yun lang yung sa Region 10. So, bali, nagsasubmit kami sa Marawi, nagsasubmit kami ng documents. Iba doon sa Region 12, yung iba doon sa Region 10.
Parang ang labo naman. Okay, Mr. Ablao, please try and trace from COA, both Region 12 and 10, the records that Director Elias is referring to. Director Elias, you should have those records with you. Kahit 64 million, nasa na? Ba't babalik pa sa Mindanao? Ba't kayo pumunta rito na walang bit-bit na papel? Yan lang naman inaatupag namin eh.
Yung
Gustong-gusto namin tumulong, pero kapag hindi na liliquidate yung pera, kami rin ang accountable dyan.
yung kasing sinasabi ko na 60 plus million ay nandoon sa audit report ng COA na clear na yon.
Please supply that.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
COA, please, Director Elias. Chairman Encabo, I think at this juncture, if there's no opposition from Senator Padilla, I cannot endorse the budget of the CDA. It cannot pass subcommittee. I need clarification, both with regard to the coconut funds because of the confusion of DBM with regard to the nature of trust receipts, as well as this very large sum that appears to be missing from our records. So, paano? Anong gagawin natin?
We will submit a comprehensive report.
Kailan?
If we could do it in 1 week time, Madam Chair, if that is acceptable.
Yes, I don't know that we even have the luxury of 1 week kasi nagmamadali sila, no? Senator Padilla. Pabalikin na lang natin sila pag nabuo nila yung papel. Perhaps DBM, you can relay to your leadership the sentiments of the House that really you are not in compliance with the spirit and purpose of the law and that we should try a little harder to help rather than stymie the growth of these coconut organizations. At the same time, Region 10, you're responsible for a very large sum of money for which you can't account at this point. COA, he's now turning to COA Region 10 and saying that you should have the records, but you don't seem to be aware, so please get in touch with COA Region 10 at alamin natin kung ano nangyari doon. And Region 12 as well, sabi niya sa Region 12. Ilan bang region tong hahabulin natin? Ikot-ikot tayo hanggang mabuo natin yung papel. And Chairman Encabo, no matter what, I think you will have to account for this because these sums occur under your agency. In the meantime, may I defer the passage of this agency's budget for 2004, failing the submission of documents. We will inform you when the next hearing will be made, but please submit at the earliest possible opportunity the documents required. An opinion as well from DBM, please. Sulatan ninyo kami na ano ang pinakamagandang gawin para maibalik naman yung pera na talagang karapat-dapat para sa 2022. Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, we will submit to the guidance of the leadership of this committee. Thank you.
Sige. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator Padilla.